And we're almost to the end of our Fix the Bricks project. So that's been going very well. It's a project where we have to fix the outside, make sure that'll last for more generations. And we've raised over $270,000 so far for a $286,000 project. So lots of community support. We certainly do appreciate that because we like to bring art and that's why we're the center of the arts. We have a big, Alice Reynolds put together a big, the Writers Guild that we're having this Saturday night, and it's sold out. Saturday all day long, so it's sold out. We try to just incorporate all the different levels of the arts that we can, and we certainly appreciate your support and for coming here. So at this time I'd like to introduce a friend. Lynn's been very supportive of the Pump House since I took over as director 3 years ago, and she's agreed to do a show. Her last show here was in the 1990s. 1992. And I think that you can see it's just a very powerful show. So, Lynn, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Gotta shove it.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for coming out and making this such a party for me tonight. Thank you. Thank you. And I am so deeply grateful to the Pump House for hosting this and for being the wonderful Center for the Arts in Chillicothe. We are so lucky, and we're so lucky to have John Payne heading this whole thing up. He has really brought a renaissance. You want to take anything up? Yeah. Okay, very good. Thank you. And I know you all know this, but I just want to reemphasize that without volunteers, we would not exist. And John has done a great job attracting a wonderful group of volunteers. And this event, this show, would not have happened without those. And I wanted to thank specifically some of the people that made this show the successful installation that it is. Jared DePew, I don't think he's here, he designed the invitations. John Victor helped by moving our big work, which we were not capable of doing. The real heroes of this show are up there, a couple of them. The people who hung this show, and it was a bear of a show to hang, because these things are, believe it or not, they're delicate, they're hard to handle. And all those little eggs, Judy Wildbacher, Betsy Parker, where's Bev Riley? Bev Riley, Judy Summers not here tonight. Anyway, they did a fabulous job. Steve Robinson's right here, the guy with the camera. He created the little slideshow that we have upstairs, showing some of the work that's no longer in my studio. And then I want to thank Sherry Noel for putting the lovely spread out tonight. Most of all, thanks for all of you for coming. Now, John wanted me to comment on a couple of things about the art. So if you are interested, I'll tell you a couple of things that aren't self-explanatory. Most of the work speaks for itself. But these big hangings came about because after painting botanical subject matter for about 20 years, I was about burned out. But I decided, you know what, I really don't have it depicted is what is inside the plants themselves. So I spent a winter at Lloyd Library in Cincinnati, which is a horticultural pharmaceutical library. And they had in that library all the old journals that were published during the Age of Discovery late 1700s and 1800s that depicted these plants as they were brought into the Kew Gardens in London. The botanical scientists and illustrators cut these plants apart and depicted the little parts inside in little tiny drawings beside the flower themselves in each other. Well, I was just fascinated by the shapes. For instance, the one back here, that's the throat of an iris that you would never see. That big. To me, it looked like a Venus. And I was so fascinated. I took a lot of sketches, spent the winter making sketches, put them back in my studio, and then blew them up 100 or 1,000 times into these big images. And then I had to figure out how to show them, so I used big rolls of canvas and took off the glue, and then was able to, on a dampened surface, go back and use water media on canvas. So this is kind of something that I developed over the years, and you'll see it see the nest behind Joe McFadden and some of the other ones. And now, while we're looking at the bird sets, the other thing I wanted to talk about, this is my most recent series. I tend to work in series, and I've been doing this for probably not quite 10 years. And I became aware of the fact that we have plenty of bird illustrators, but nobody had depicted the eggs. And I was soon to discover why. Egg collecting was a hobby in the late 1800s and the early 1900s. And in fact, our president, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, as a boy, was an avid collector of birds' eggs. Now this meant that boys would go into the woods, climb the trees, and they would scoop up the eggs and add to their collection. And these people became really fanatic about creating a collection of eggs. Well, you can imagine what that did to the bird population. And so it became a crime to take take the eggs out of the nests. This happened in 1954. And so they were put into, the collections were then brought to the museums and displayed. In a couple of years, they realized that the colors were fading. So they put them in the drawers. They put them out of sight. Nobody could see them. And I thought, wow, these things are gorgeous. And where can I see them? There's one that the photographers at the museum took pictures of every egg in their collection. And I was able to find a book that had these, and that is the first time I've used photography in my making of art. But I found that the sizes and shapes and colors were so interesting that I wanted to bring them back to the public to see. So one little last factor that I thought was very interesting, the colors and the designs on the eggs, you might wonder how they get there. The females have a full palette of colors in their ovaries. And when the egg comes down the fallopian tube, the colors are squirted. Obviously she's not doing it with any consciousness, but they are extruded from her ovaries and put on the eggs, and you can see how some of them would show up. And another way that they get the colors is that the egg, the mother will then turn the eggs in the nest, creating another set of designs. So I hope you enjoy these, and thank you so much for coming. And if there's any questions I can answer. Oh, yes.
Yes, I wanted to thank you, Lynn. She is an accomplished author as well. And this book, which she illustrated, and we have prints on the other side for sale. But if you would like to read about her historic home in Bourneville, where 7 generations have lived of her relatives, and all the different things that she's discovered and the stories that she's discovered through the years, she's put down in this book. And she will personalize it if you'd like to take one home with you, purchase it, and she will make sure that it gets personalized.
Needless to say, there wasn't any painting going on when this thing took 20 years, but I was basically straddling between painting and writing for all those years. And that took a lot of research too, but then at the end I had to lay down the brushes, finish the book, get it out, and now I'm back to painting.
And so what will we do on Sunday the 12th? Sunday the 12th.
On Sunday the 12th, your invitation mentions in the extra invitations if you need it. Sunday the 12th, I'm going to bring in a lot of unframed paintings. So they just didn't make the show, or they weren't framed. I didn't have that much time to mount the show, so there wasn't a lot of time for framing. But they will be less expensive naturally, and I have them in all sizes, bigger than this even, in watercolor, and then a lot of small things. So if you're interested in that, Sunday the 12th from 1 to 4, we'll be here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lynn. And thank you all again. I'm sure you see we have, if you haven't been upstairs, there are more artwork upstairs as well as down, so just take your time and enjoy the show. We're open, the show will be here until the 26th. I believe that's the day we break it down. Thank you.